Distinguished delegates, we are still a little bit over 20 away for quorum, so we would very much appreciate if you could make sure that you insert your cards. Also, if you have contacts of any other parties from your region, please let them know so that we can reach quorum and start the meeting immediately. Thank you. We're 15 away from quorum. 15 parties away from quorum. Distinguished delegates, we're 5 parties away from quorum, 5 parties away from quorum. Thank you. I shouldn't say we're 4 delegates away. Dear delegates, this is to inform you that Committee 1 has now started as it reached quorum. We have not reached quorum, so the Committee 2 is unable to start. We're 2 parties away from quorum. 2 parties away. Please bring anybody from the hallway into the Committee 2 room, please. Good morning, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. We have not reached quorum, unfortunately. We're 1 party away. But on behalf of the Secretariat, I would like to give the housekeeping announcement. Okay. And now we have reached quorum, just now. I'll continue with the housekeeping announcements. This is to inform you that the Bureau of the Conference met yesterday evening and has agreed on the following changes to the working program that was raised at the plenary. First, on agenda item 14, on enhancing the work and efficiency of the convention through the permanent committees. This will be discussed in Committee 2 and has been placed on the working program for this morning after agenda item 11, which is Sponsored Delegates Project, and before agenda item 15, on the role of CITES in reducing risk of future zoonotic disease emergence associated with international wildlife trade. So this will be the first agenda item under strategic matters this morning. This is agenda item 14. On agenda item 73, trade in endemic species, the Bureau has agreed that this will remain in Committee 2 in the same location as it originally appeared in the document CoP20 Doc 2 Rev 1. So this will remain on Friday, 28th November, as the last item in the morning. Of course, this is subject to the actual progression of the meeting. The Bureau also discussed the matter regarding the procedure for secret balloting. Rules of Procedure, Rule 27, Paragraph 2, sets out the procedure for secret ballot. The Bureau has agreed in addition that the representatives that seconded the request will be read out by the chair immediately after this procedure is done. So the 10 or more representatives, or those that tried to second the motion for the secret ballot, will be read out on the floor. Lastly, the Bureau will meet again today at 5 p.m. or immediately after the session is over in the afternoon. There are a few more miscellaneous announcements. There are a few lost and found items at the information desk, so if you have lost anything, please gather at the information desk. The information desk also has some outreach materials from the Secretariat, as well as the booklet on the amendment proposals that may be useful for Committee 1. There was also an announcement that a translation receiver that was used in a side event last night in the Sacre Falcon room, which is 2 doors down from here, was removed from the room. If you have found anything that looks like a translation receiver, please hand it to the lost and found at the information desk. The medical facility has now been set up between Sacre Falcon and Central Asian tortoise rooms. So that is in the great hallway, and it's right next to where the sofas are located. So if you have any medical issues, please use the medical facilities located there. Lastly, there will be a voting test as the first item in the afternoon session today. We will conduct a voting test, e-voting test in the afternoon. So please make sure that you are here on time and you have your voting cards ready. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Secretariat. Distinguished delegates and esteemed colleagues, it is my honor to serve as Chair of Committee 2 for this meeting of Conference of Parties to CITES. I extend my welcome to all delegates to Committee 2 and express my profound appreciation to the government of Uzbekistan for their gracious hosting of our assembly here. I look forward to constructive, respectful, and forward-looking discussions that strengthen this convention and its implementation for wildlife and for people alike. I urge all delegates to focus their interventions and address specific aspects of each agenda item within the speaking time limits. I will facilitate working groups only when necessary to resolve technical details, allowing plenary time to focus on policy decisions. I would also kindly request that all delegates arrive punctually for our sessions and encourage you to arrive 15 minutes before each session. Take your seats, insert your voting cards so that we can start promptly and reach quorum. We have a huge agenda ahead of us with very, very little time. I trust in everyone's cooperation to make our discussions both comprehensive and concise, and that every intervention advances our collective understanding and moves us closer to consensus. I would just like to remind everyone, for working documents submitted by the animals, plants, or standing committees, or by the Secretariat, there will be no introduction unless there is an update since the time the document has been posted on the CITES website. And for working documents submitted by parties, parties are strongly encouraged to keep the introduction to 3 minutes, focusing on the recommendations. For intervention time limits, speaking time will be limited to 3 minutes for parties and 2 minutes for observer organizations. With that, it's my pleasure to open the first session of Committee 2 at the 20th meeting of the Conference of Parties to CITES. Thank you. So now we will look at Agenda 7.1, Administration of the Secretariat. The Conference of the Parties is invited to take note of the report, but I will open the floor for any quick feedback. I open the floor for parties for any comments to this document. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a comment about the Secretariat announcement about the disclosure of the names of the countries that supported secret ballots. We have a concern about this announcement. We have a procedural concerns regarding the disclosure of the names of countries that have supported secret ballots. This actually alters past practice, and it is almost equal to a change to a rules of procedure. Therefore, we don't think it is desirable for the Bureau to decide such an important matter. It should be discussed in the plenary. As this is a substantive change to the rules of procedure, it should be discussed at the plenary and adopted by consensus. Thank you.
Japan, I would just like to clarify that this item is taken at the Bureau and we are at Agenda 7.1 now. And Japan is a member of the Bureau, so could we take that up at the Bureau this evening? Okay, I'd like to continue for agenda item 7.1. Any comments for this document? I do not see any parties. I open the floor now to non-parties and observer organizations. Okay, not seeing anyone for the floor. Committee 2 recommends that the COP notes the report. Thank you. Next is document 7.2, report of the Executive Director of the United Nations Environment Programme on Administrative Matters. This document has been submitted by UNEP. I turn to the representative of UNEP to take the floor. Please be reminded you have 3 minutes. UNEP, please.
Well, thank you, Chair. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, UNEP remains fully committed to support the CITES secretariats, and we thank the Secretariat for its consistent collaboration, which we hope that our partnership can serve as a model of effective cooperation. As we all know, resources are tight across the UN system, and yet UNEP continues to uphold strong financial oversight. We're in the process of revising our program support cost guidelines, and we maintain full compliance with international accounting standards. Transparency and accountability remain central to our work. We have strengthened human resource services, expanded our training, and included digital platforms to make management more transparent and efficient. And I'm pleased to report that all audit recommendations from our Office of Internal Oversight Services have been closed, and our enterprise risk management is now fully embedded across UNEP-administered MEAs. But beyond administration, UNEP is proud to support your conservation efforts. Through the African Elephant Fund, we help range states implement the African Elephant Action Plan. Through the Great Apes Survival Partnership, we advance enforcement, intelligence sharing, and conservation. Through the Jaguar efforts, we align CITES and CMS work with the Jaguar 2030 roadmap to help strengthen cooperation across Latin America. UNEP is also pleased to contribute to advancing environmental dimensions of the quadripartite One Health Partnership. By tackling habitat loss, pollution, and illegal wildlife trade, we help minimize zoonotic spillovers, a goal that's closely linked to CITES' mission that shows how UN agencies can deliver more effectively when we act together. Looking ahead, UNEP looks forward to continuing to be your steadfast partner. Through UNEP WCMC, we provide data and digital tools, platforms that help you make informed science-based decisions. We also work with you to strengthen cooperation with other biodiversity conventions through the Barron Process, the UN Environment Assembly resolutions, and the Regional Seas Program. UNEP will continue to foster coherence, efficiency, and innovation in support of CITES, and together we will ensure that trade in wildlife species is legal, sustainable, and traceable, and that it contributes directly to the Global Biodiversity Framework, the 2030 Agenda for People and Planet. Thank you.
Thank you, UNEP. I would now like to invite parties for any general comments. I will now open the floor to non-parties and observer organizations. I do not see any requests from the floor. Committee 2 recommends that the COP notes the report of the UNEP. Thank you. Next agenda item is document 7.3, financial reports for 2023 to 2025. We are invited to consider and agree on 4 recommendations at the end of the main document. As you may already be aware, I am planning to strike the working group, the budget working group, after the next agenda item, and would propose to send these recommendations for the consideration of the working group. But I will now open the floor to see if anyone would like to make any general remarks on this document. I will now open the floor for parties. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The Trump administration has made clear that the United States will no longer support work that does not benefit the American taxpayer. The United States believes that too many items on the 20th meeting of the Conference of Parties, the COP20 agenda that will be discussed over the next 2 weeks, fall outside of the scope of CITES and run contrary to the interests of the American people. With this in mind, the U.S. delegation will take positions at this meeting to return CITES to its core mandate of ensuring that international trade in specimens of wild animals and plants does not threaten the survival of species. We will take a hard line against efforts to expand or dilute the work of the Secretariat or the committees, such as those that conflate CITES with unrelated bodies focused on climate change and sustainable development, and we will oppose efforts that give preference to any particular group on bases such as sex or age. We will call for votes as needed. There is not only a question of mandate, but of resources, as deliberation on these issues takes up valuable time without a direct benefit to improving the implementation of the convention. We hope the other delegations will join us in this approach to streamline the operations, return the focus to core work, and strengthen the effectiveness and sustainability of CITES. We will call the committee's attention to Information Doc 58, which summarizes our approach and position on many agenda items. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I now open the floor to non-parties and observer organizations. Okay, not seeing anyone asking for the floor. Committee 2 notes the report contained in document 7.3 and requests that the budget working group consider the recommendations in this document and report back to this committee. Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda item is document 7.4, Budget and Work Program for 2026 to 2028. This document is also prepared by the Secretariat. So we have before us 3 budget scenarios along with supporting documents as prepared by the Secretariat. So as mentioned just now, I intend to establish a budget working group to consider these documents in a detailed manner. So I just want general comments about this budget. I will now open the floor for parties for any comments to this document. United States of America, please, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The United States points out that once again, none of the 3 budget scenarios presented represents a true zero nominal growth. The most conservative budget option presented still represents an increase on the approved core budget for the 2023-2025 triennium. CITES will need to adjust its expenses to update revenue assumptions. We look forward to ongoing discussions in the budget working group on this issue. Thank you.
Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for the consideration of these budget scenarios. Our position about all these budget of international organization is zero nominal growth, and none of these 3 scenarios are true flat zero nominal growth. For this reason, we have to remind you that the basic position of our government for all international organization budget is zero nominal growth. And I will look forward to the discussion in the working group. Thank you.
Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And good morning, delegates. First, we want to take this opportunity to congratulate you for your nomination as chair, and we look forward to your guidance as we navigate this agenda. With respect to the 3 budget scenarios presented in document 7.4 and associated annex, Canada favors a zero nominal growth budget. However, we see some elements in scenario 2 and 3 that could be incorporated into scenario 1, and we would like to seek additional information regarding some of these elements. In particular, we would be keen to explore some of the cost reduction presented in scenario 2 and 3. We would certainly welcome additional information on the restructuring measure presented in scenario 3. We understand that the proposal is meant to modernize job description and enhance efficiency in the delivery of the Secretariat's work program. So we'd certainly welcome information on how this will contribute to the goal of improving efficiencies. And we would certainly welcome the rationale for applying the 2026 standard staff cost to scenario 2 and 3, but not to the first one. In regards to the amendments to the resolution, it's difficult to assess the proposed paragraph under thank you. To assess the paragraph on access to funding without having seen the Secretariat's resource mobilization strategy. So in principle, we agree with these points, but we would like to review the resource mobilization strategy in parallel. So we hope that the Secretariat can provide some response to our question in the budget group. Thank you.
China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. China appreciates the Secretary's efforts in preparing the scenarios and acknowledge the financial challenges facing the Secretariat. So China supports the sustainable development of Secretariat while the parties need to identify the priority budget items to meet the needs. So we would suggest to the ongoing discussion in the workshop, in the working group. Thank you.
Thank you. I now open the floor to non-parties and observer organizations. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and sorry for taking that long for taking the floor. We just wanted to express our support for the proposal scenario presented by the Secretariat. We're looking forward to discuss further at the working group additional and more detailed clarifications concerning the administrative measures that are being considered to improve institutional efficiency. We believe that such information is essential for ensuring full transparency and for allowing parties to properly assess the scope, implications, and expected outcomes of the proposed actions. So we're looking forward to engage constructively at the working group. Thank you.
IWMC, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As it is the first time that we take the floor on this occasion, we'd like to congratulate and express our sincere thanks to Azerbaijan for accepting to host the COP20 of CITES. It is certainly a recognition of the magnificent programs that the country has towards conservation of its wildlife resources, which includes, of course, a well-known, internationally renowned trophy hunting program and facilities. Having said that, Madam Chair, we'd like to say that all of these documents, and our document applies to both 7.2 and 7.3, everything is related to lack of financial resources, of financial income for CITES. And in that respect, we'd like to suggest that a revision be made by the working group on budget of the current registration fee for observer. The current fees were established to cover the costs of printing of documents and printing of reports following a conference of the parties, requiring hundreds of thousands of pages of document to be printed. And this is not needed anymore. And it's my understanding that the observer pay as a fee is allocated to the sponsored delegate project. My suggestion is that we apply the same kind of rate of participation for the observer as we do for the parties, which means that the richest should pay
IWMC, can you
more
please wrap
than the
up?
poorest. And in that sense, it will be rather simple to establish a very specific rate of contribution that could allow for better support of better financial
IWMC, can I
support
please
for
ask you to
CITES
wrap up?
Secretariat. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I will now pass to Secretariat for slight clarifications. Thank you.
Good morning. The proposal under the scenario 1, contained in Annex 2, present an average annual increase of $99,503 in the budget amount during the triennial. Under a zero nominal growth approach, this scenario does not reflect any inflation nor any increase in the actual operating cost. The increase reflected under the zero nominal growth scenario, 1.5%, is not due to a structural budget expansion, but rather to the standard staff cost methodology applied. For the 2026-2028 budget period, the salary standard costs utilized are those established for 2025. As salary in 2023 and 2024 were set up at a lower level, the application of the 2025 salary standards costs mechanically produce an apparent increase. This is, therefore, a technical adjustment resulting from the cost standardization process and does not represent an actual increase in resources nor staffing cost. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretariat. So as mentioned just now, I'm going to strike the budget working group now. I will read out the terms of reference of the working group, and then I will invite the membership from the parties. The terms of reference of the budget working group is to consider documents 7.1, 7.2, 7.3, and 7.4, including the 4 recommendations contained in document CoP19 Doc 7.3, and the draft resolution, and the 3 budget scenarios outlined by the Secretariat, and contained in document CoP19 document 7.4. Propose any revisions as appropriate and make its recommendations to the committee, including on the budget for 2026 to 2028. I would now like to call for the members of the budget working group. I would also want to remind everyone that the budget working group does not have observers. Interested parties, please press your speaking buttons now. Okay, I'll read out the names now. Technician, can you please remove when I say each of the countries? Canada, United States of America, Brazil, China, Japan, Zimbabwe, Kuwait, Australia, United Kingdom, Zambia, Switzerland, Denmark, France, Germany, New Zealand, United Arab Emirates, Belgium, Uganda, Russian Federation, Spain, Mexico, Tanzania, Kenya. Thank you, everyone. I would now turn to Zimbabwe to see if they're willing to be the chair of the budget working group. If you are, could you please press your speaking button? Thank you. Thank you, Zimbabwe. The budget working group will meet in the Snow Leopard room. I request the Secretariat to liaise with the budget working group chair to determine the date and time when the group will meet. Secretary, yeah. Okay, the next agenda item is 7.5, arrangements for meetings of the Conference of the Parties. The Conference of the Parties is invited to adopt the draft decisions on arrangements for meetings of the Conference of the Parties contained in the annex to the document. I will open the floor for parties for any comments on the draft decisions. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brazil appreciates the efforts of the Secretariat to identify options for reducing the costs associated with organizing events under the mandate of CITES. However, we view with concern some of the courses of action proposed. In this regard, we would like to formally register our objection to extending the interval between COPs from 3 to 4 years, as well as to any rule that would limit the number of participants at the COP, as proposed by the Secretary in document CoP20 7.5. We are concerned that extending the periodicity of COPs and restricting participation could have negative effects on the work and even the legitimacy of the convention. Such measures could ultimately be contrary to the conservation interests of threatened species, which may face increased risks due to longer decision-making cycles. Brazil kindly requests that this intervention be duly reflected in the minutes of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Secretariat, for preparing all these documents. We have a concern about adding new budget line about the holding COPs in Geneva. I remember we discussed this at standing committee in February, and we agreed not to do that, as far as if I remember correctly. For this reason, adding a new budget line in case holding COPs in Geneva, we do not support this suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll now open the floor to non-parties and observers. WCS, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And since it's the first time intervening since you've been chairing, I'd like to congratulate you on your selection as chair of this committee. And I know you will do a brilliant job. Briefly, WCS recognizes the financial challenges facing the Secretariat, but we wish to strongly agree with the intervention of Brazil and urge parties to reject the proposal to hold meetings of the COP only once every 4 years. Article 11 of our treaty mandates that the Secretariat convene a COP, quote, at least once every 2 years. The current 3-year cycle already stretches the timeline required by the convention. Moving to a 4-year interval would have the frequency mandate and restricting parties to take decisions only twice per decade. In today's rapidly shifting context, with biodiversity crisis accelerating, that would carry irreversible risks for species. Less frequent COPs would not reduce the workload. It would intensify it, and it would put greater pressure on the Standing Committee, Animals Committee, and Plants Committee, exacerbating an already strained system. We note the Secretariat's concern regarding costs of hosting a COP in Geneva, as raised by Japan. Geneva is ranked as one of the most expensive cities in the world. As noted yesterday, we encourage parties to commission a study on the cost benefits of relocating the Secretariat to a more cost-effective location. Chair, cost-saving measures must not come at the expense of the convention's mission. We do not want to remember this COP as the COP where the budgetary crisis condemned CITES on its 50th anniversary. Alternative solutions do exist, and we stand ready to discuss them with parties. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and apologize for taking the floor a bit late. Like Japan, we oppose adding new budget lines and oppose extending the intersessional period from 3 to 4 years for the reasons outlined. The United States would also like to thank Panama for its offer to host COP21 and supports the draft decisions with minor edits to 20, CC paragraph B as follows. We'd like to insert in the implementation of, insert 20.cc between of and paragraph. And at the end of this paragraph B, after parties, insert in developing formal offers and the Secretariat in the selection. Thank you.
United States of America, can you repeat again?
Yes, thank you. So this is draft decision 22.cc, paragraph B. After, in the first line, in the implementation of, then insert 20.cc. The second edit is at the end of the paragraph. After parties, insert in developing formal offers and the Secretariat in the selection.
I'll give the floor to the Secretary to provide clarifications.
Thank you, Chair. With regard to the suggested text that was just tabled by the United States of America, we'd like just to clarify that it is the conference of the parties that make the selection of the host of the conference of the party meeting. It is not the Standing Committee nor the Secretariat that does this. Thank you.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. To clarify, our intention is to bring the Standing Committee closer into that process to increase transparency in this process. That is the intention of our edit. Thank you.
Thank you. Kuwait, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and congratulations on your position. Wish you all the best. I'll be brief. Kuwait align the position, her position with the intervention made by Brazil as well as Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. I will pass the floor to Secretary General.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would appreciate to be allowed to make a clarification. I've heard the intervention yesterday also at the plenary from the observers about changing location from Switzerland to a less expensive location. I think I should clarify that this decision is by the parties about where the location of the Secretariat is. And I would also like to clarify that we receive on an annual basis, $1 million from the Swiss government, and we also receive a subsidy to be able to use the conference center in Geneva for our meetings of the Standing Committee, the meetings of the Animals and Plants Committees, and this subsidy amounts to 92% of the cost of holding those meetings for having them in Geneva, which is also what the convention says, that we are to hold the meetings in Switzerland. So just to alert those who are considering this, that this has to be taken into account when the parties discuss the possibility, because I know that in various other, within the United Nations, right now what is happening under what we call UN 80, there are some discussions about moving organizations to other less expensive places, but there has to be some clarification that it is not always just the fact of the location that matters, it's also what is contributed by that host to the Secretariat. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So, okay, I noted the concerns raised on the cycle of the COP, and this is really part of the mandate of the Budget Working Group, so this will be looked at under document 7.3. So now I would like to go back to United States of America's edits to see if any parties have any comments. Switzerland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to say that, of course, it's an honor to host the Secretariat in Geneva, and we know it's not the most cheap place to say so, but it's an honor, and of course, any change of the location would have some impact on the contribution by Switzerland. But we hope that we can continue to have the Secretariat in Geneva and to welcome all the members of CITES on a regular basis for the Standing Committee, Animals or Plants, also in Geneva. Thank you.
Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'll pause to thank you, to say thanks to Switzerland for that comment, and we certainly do appreciate our meetings in Geneva. Our comment is on the U.S. Additions. We seek some clarification to the United States. We think we understand what they are asking for here in terms of being clear about the advice provided in the guidance being prepared, but we're unclear as to the addition in their amendment of the words "and the Secretariat." It's unclear to us what we are asking for by adding "and the Secretariat" into that paragraph. So I would appreciate if the United States could provide some clarity. Thank you.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Canada. To clarify, we understand that the chair of the Standing Committee is usually involved in these processes, but we'd really like to have more visibility for the whole Standing Committee in these processes. That's our intention with this edit. Is that clear?
Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, United States, and I did understand that point. If I understood the intended edit, it would, at the end of B, say, in developing formal offers and the Secretariat in the selection. And so my particular question is regarding what was the imagined expectation of the Secretariat in including that phrase there. Apologies if I wasn't clear. Thank you, Chair.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Canada. Perhaps to simplify, we could revise that final inclusion. So after parties, it would read, in developing formal offers in the selection, and remove the confusing and the Secretariat. So again, that would read, after parties, insert, in developing formal offers in the selection.
Okay, so I would now open the floor for parties who support the edits from the United States of America. I do not see any support for the edits proposed by the United States of America. Seeing no support for the edits, I will then proceed to accept the draft decisions in the document, and I conclude this agenda item. Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is 10, access to funding, which is a document submitted by the Standing Committee. The Budget Working Group is tasked to review and propose the new Resolution Conference 20.1 on financing and the costed program of work for the Secretariat for the Triennium. I would propose that the recommendations in this document be referred to the Budget Working Group in order to avoid duplication of work. I will now open the floor for any general comments on the document. First, I will open the floor for parties. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brazil would like to make this intervention with the support of the following countries: Argentina, Belize, Chile, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Guatemala, Honduras, Jamaica, Dominican Republic, Trinidad, and Uruguay. We believe that having COP decisions on access to funding is of utmost importance. These decisions should neither be time-bound nor restricted to the set of activities indicated in financing and the costed program of work for the Secretariat for the triennium 2025-2028. For this reason, it is essential to maintain decisions 19.4, 19.5, and 19.6 as standalone COP decisions. In addition, we all know that CITES is facing a challenging financial situation, lacking substantial financial resources. Therefore, it is necessary to explore innovative financing mechanisms to support the effective implementation of the Convention, both within and beyond the activities outlined in the program of work. Accordingly, Brazil proposes the establishment of an intersessional working group to explore innovative financing mechanisms to support implementation of the Convention and also the conservation of listed threatened species, as outlined in a decision that we are proposing that would read as follows. Directed to the Standing Committee with the assistance of the Secretariat. 20AA. The Standing Committee shall, with the assistance of the Secretariat, establish an intersessional working group to explore innovative financial mechanisms to support the implementation of the Convention and the conservation of listed threatened species, both within and beyond the program of work for the Secretariat for the triennium 2025-2028. 20BB, The intersessional working group shall report its conclusions and recommendations to the 81st session of the Standing Committee. Thank you.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The United States supports the Standing Committee's recommendations with one important edit. With respect to Annex 2 in the proposed paragraph X to follow paragraph 28 of the resolution, we note that, quote, ensuring/supporting, unquote, should merely say supporting, as financial and technical assistance cannot ensure the effective implementation of the resolutions and decisions adopted by the COP. This is reflected in the edits to Decision 19.5, but not the edits to the resolution. In addition to the Standing Committee's recommendation to delete decisions 19.8 and 19.9, and the United States also supports the Secretariat's recommendation to delete decisions 18.4, 19.6, and 19.7, as these have been incorporated into the proposed edits to the resolution. The United States, however, does not support deletion of decision to 19.4, as there is no equivalent proposed language to incorporate that decision into the resolution. Instead, we support the adoption of Decision 19.4, Rev. CoP20, as written in Annex 1. Thank you.
Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Since this is the first time Fiji is taking the floor, we would like to extend our congratulations to you on your appointment and your colleagues as well. Madam Chair, Fiji would like to support the statement delivered on behalf by Brazil and the other countries, and we also believe that the three resolutions should be seen separately. We echo the sentiments that have been shared by our colleagues from Brazil and the other countries, and we would like to lend our support to that intervention. Thank you.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Regarding Brazil's intervention for an intersessional working group, we do not support this. We think it may have financial implications, and we would recommend sending this to the Budget Working Group for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you. I now open the floor to non-parties and observer organizations. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I noted the interventions, and these will be taken up by the Budget Working Group. I will pass it to the Budget Working Group to work on it. So now I will add to the terms of reference to the Budget Working Group on the following. To consider COP20 Doc 10 access to funding, including the proposed incorporation of some or all elements from decisions 18.4, 19.4, 19.5, 19.6, and 19.7 into Resolution Conference 20.1 on financing and the costed program of work for the Secretariat for the Triennium and report to the committee on the proposed resolution and/or decisions, and also to consider the proposal from Brazil. So I'll close this item now, and we will hear back from the Budget Working Group. Thank you. I will now turn to Agenda Item 8, Terms of Reference of the Finance and Budget Subcommittee. This document was submitted by the Standing Committee. I open the floor for any comments from parties on the proposed amendments to Resolution Conference 18.2. I now open the floor to non-parties and observer organizations. Not seeing anyone asking for the floor, Committee 2 accepts the amendments to Resolution Conference 18.2 on establishment of committees and the deletion of Decision 18.2, and this concludes the agenda item. Thank you. The next agenda item is 9, Emerging Operational Matters of the Committees. The document was submitted by the Standing Committee. I would like to draw parties' attention to the Secretariat's comments, which proposes a minor editorial amendment in paragraph 9b to remove a repeated phrase. I now open the floor to parties for comments, please. China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. China expresses thanks to the Standing Committee for the preparation of this document. To build resilience against global crisis, standardized guidelines for emergency meetings are essential. We therefore support the proposed amendments to Resolution Conf 18.2 concerning online formats. However, we have two key concerns. The first is equity. We urge the Secretariat to ensure time zone fairness through rotating schedules or the effective use of asynchronous tools. Technical or timing discrepancies must not unfairly prejudice the ability of any party to participate fully. The second, accountability. Meeting agendas must be streamlined to prevent efficiency and ensure focused deliberation. Regarding the provision for regional representative to speak on behalf of absent parties, we accept this purely for the transmission of information. However, to preserve national sovereignty, they must not be permitted to vote or make commitments on behalf of any other party. China supports the adoption of this document and looks forward to refining these important mechanisms. Thank you, Chair.
Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Добрый день, госпожа председатель. Поскольку мы выступаем впервые, также позвольте поблагодарить секретариат и Узбекистан как принимающую сторону за организацию конференции. Мы хотели бы выразить несколько сомнений по поводу данного проекта. У нас вызывают вопросы формулировки, в частности, exceptional circumstances. Поскольку в международном праве нет данного понятия, мы не очень понимаем, что подразумевается здесь. Это очень широкий термин, и мы полагаем, что он требует уточнений. То же самое относится к пункту Б.
Sorry, Russian Federation, just hang on. I think the translation, there's an issue. It's not translating.
It is Channel 4. Channel 4 is translating into English. But if there is problem, I can speak English.
It's the Russian channel.
Конечно.
It is, so the English version is at the Russian channel now, 4, is it?
Госпожа председатель, тогда хотели уточнить, нам повторить выступление с самого начала?
Can the Russian Federation say something so that we know which channel it is now?
Okay, it should be channel 4, but as far as I see, there is a problem, so I will speak English this time, and I hope that the hosting country will solve this issue.
Thank you, Russian Federation.
So, from the very beginning, as we speak for the first time, I would like to thank the Secretariat and the hosting country for organizing the COP. We would like to pay attention to several points in this document. We don't quite understand what exceptional circumstances means here, because as far as we know, there is no such term in the international law, and we think that it needs some clarification. Also, point 9b, there is mentioned several regions. It also could be mentioned what number of regions and so on. So all in all, we think that there is a need to create a working group in order to maybe make some corrections in this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and a special personal congratulations to you on your appointment. Australia has 2 quite minor but important amendments to the text in the annex. I'm going to new paragraph 9, little a. At the end of the second last paragraph where the bracket opens and it says possibly, we'd prefer preferably. And going along that sentence, the brackets, we'd insert a comma after the word program, just to separate the 2 concepts in that bracketed sentence. Thank you, Chair.
I will now open the floor to non-parties and observers. Okay, seeing no more requests from the floor, the committee will accept the proposed revisions to Resolution Conference 18.2 on establishment of committees as found in Annex to document CoP20 document 9 as amended by Australia. I will just repeat the edit again. In the Annex, parent 9, small little a, the last sentence, bracket, instead of possibly, is changed to preferably, with an adapted agenda and working program with an additional comma, and ensuring an equitable time for all regions. Can I see if there's any objection to this edit? Okay, I see no objection. I will conclude this item. Thank you. The next agenda item is item 11, Sponsored Delegates Project. This document was submitted by the Secretariat in consultation with the Standing Committee. Sorry, I'm just going back to Agenda 9 again. There was also deletion of decisions 19.1 to 19.3. I just want to check if there's any objection from the parties. Agenda 9. Okay, I see no objection, so we will delete decisions 19.9 to 19.3 for agenda item 9. Thank you. Okay, sorry, going back to agenda item 11. The document proposes amendments to Resolution Conference 17.3, Ref CoP19, on sponsored delegates project as contained in the annex to the document, and invites the COP to delete decisions 18.12 and 19.10. I now open the floor to parties for any comments. Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brazil wishes to express its concern regarding the insufficient resources allocated to support the participation of delegates from developing countries at CITES COPs. For COP20, developing countries received funding for only one representative, despite the fact that the conference conducts its work through two parallel committees, in addition to the budgetary discussions. Under these circumstances, financing should ensure, at a minimum, the presence of two delegates per developing country, so that they may effectively follow and contribute to the full scope of the conference work. In light of this imbalance, the Brazilian delegation urges developed countries to demonstrate greater commitment to the sponsored delegate support mechanism, in accordance with the principle of common but differentiated responsibilities reaffirmed in the Rio Declaration. Thank you.
Thank you. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The United States opposes the sponsored delegates project and all proposed amendments to the resolution. We are particularly opposed to the use of the Human Development Index and the OECD DAC as criteria for prioritization. The United States calls for a new decision to reconsider the SPD at a future meeting. The draft decision text reads as follows. 20.XX, the Standing Committee shall consider the long-term sustainability and feasibility of the sponsored delegates project and make recommendations to COP21 as appropriate regarding the continuation or sunsetting of the sponsored delegates project. Thank you.
Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson. I just wonder whether there is a translation into Russian right now. Спасибо. Насколько я понимаю, перевод есть. Отлично. Госпожа председатель, мы хотели бы выразить несогласие с данным предложением. Мы полагаем, что внедрение критериев отбора развивающихся стран излишне, и мы усматриваем в этом не просто дифференциацию, но и своего рода дискриминацию ряда стран. Мы полагаем, что само по себе понятие «развивающиеся страны» исчерпывающее, и вводить дополнительные ссылки, тем более на ОЭСР и индекс, Human Development Index, излишне. Мы здесь солидарны с Соединенными Штатами.
Cameroon, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup, Madame la Présidente, de nous avoir passé la parole. Étant entendu que c'est la première prise de parole, le Cameroun félicite pour l'excellente conduite des travaux. Le Cameroun voulait simplement signaler que nous appuyons entièrement la déclaration ou la position du Brésil. Merci.
Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving us the floor, and congratulations for your appointment as Chair for the committee. Chair, we like to align ourselves with what Brazil and Cameroon have just said. This is a very important project for developing countries. In fact, we must look for more innovative ways of sponsoring even more delegates coming to attend standing committees and COPs. Thank you, Chair.
I now open the floor to non-parties and observers. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The EU and its member states appreciate the Secretariat's report on the full implementation of Decision 18.12. We remain among the main contributors to the sponsored delegates project and value its role in promoting equitable representation. We fully support adoption of the proposed amendments to Resolution CON 17.3 on sponsored delegates project as contained in the annex to ensure fair and transparent allocation of financial support under the SDP. We also welcome the inclusion of Article 13 countries as eligible beneficiaries and the instruction for the Secretariat to apply the criteria when selecting delegates. We remind and encourage all parties receiving funding to ensure their attendance at CITES meetings with valid credentials so they can fully participate and exercise their voting rights. And we would like to ask the Secretariat to continue to monitor and record cases where funded delegates did not attend or lacked proper credentials to strengthen accountability and program efficiency. Thank you. Thank you.
United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We just wanted to make a brief intervention to add our support for the continuation of the Sponsored Delegate Programme and this document. Thank you.
New Zealand, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We will add our voice to those who fully support the Sponsored Delegates Programme. It's an incredibly important programme to enable our small Pacific Island nations in our region to attend the COP. Thank you.
Bolivia, you have the floor.
Muy buenos días a toda la Secretaría, a la directiva, como también al país de Uzbekistán. Bolivia también apoya y al mismo tiempo está preocupada porque en el tema de los patrocinados solamente se puede acceder a una persona. Y para nosotros es bien importante más o menos que estén ahí unas 2 personas porque hay unos 2 comités durante todo el desarrollo de la COP, ¿no? Entonces, por eso nosotros pedimos a la Secretaría CITES que por lo menos sean 2 personas que sean patrocinados para que podamos aquí asistir, ¿no? Y estar presentes, sería eso. Muchísimas gracias.
Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fiji would like to echo the comments made by New Zealand and other developing states. We are lending our support to the sponsored delegate package. We also believe that the comments made by EU are very important in terms of accountability on the usage of funds and ensuring that our participation at these forums or at these meetings are of maximum value and added value. So we do support the importance of continuing this program, and we really think that it's unjust if there are member states that believe that small island states like from the Pacific will be able to attend such meetings without any financial support. Thank you so much.
Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just very briefly adding our voice to those who support the recommendations in the document and the ongoing important role of the Sponsored Delegates Project. Particularly in Oceania, Australia is very pleased to be able to contribute to the Sponsored Delegates Project, so just repeating, we support the recommendations in the paper. Thank you, Chair.
Zambia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Wanting to add our voice to support the continuity of the Sponsored Delegate Program. This enables most of us from developing countries, especially Africa, to be able to participate in these important meetings. Thank you.
China, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We will also to make a very short intervention to add our voice to support the continuation of this project. As has been mentioned by many parties, that this project is very important for to ensuring the participation of the developing countries. So we would like to to support this document and to help the continuation of this project. Thank you.
Okay, I have a very long list of speakers. I will read out the countries, and if you are supportive of the program and the decisions inside, could you just off your speaking button as I read your countries? Yeah. Sudan, Senegal, Antigua and Barbuda, Lesotho, Tanzania, Sri Lanka, Comoros, Liberia, Dominican Republic, Switzerland, Mozambique, Guatemala, Nigeria, Botswana, Kenya, DRC, Malaysia, France, Sudan, Benin, Colombia. Thank you, everyone. I thank you for presenting a position that you support the decisions. Okay, I see overwhelming support for the Sponsored Delegates Program. So I take it that Committee 2 accepts the recommendations in the document, including the amendments to the resolution and also deletion of the decisions. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Due to the significant budget implications of the Sponsored Delegates Project, we kindly request the Chair to send this item as well and our proposal for a draft decision in its text to the Budget Working Group for further discussion.
I pass the floor to Secretary General.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just to clarify the request of the United States, as you know, in the Finance and Budget Working Group, there's the discussions about the core budget of the Secretariat, not the external, what we call the extra budgetary aspects. This is an extra budgetary project. I'm wondering, I don't know if there would be support for this because normally we're not discussing the extra budgetary projects within the Finance and Budget Working Group. So just to clarify on that.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for the clarification. We would like to ask if there's not clarity for sending our draft decision forward to the Budget Working Group, then we would like to call for a vote on our draft decision.
Okay, I would first like to ask parties if there is actually support for United States of America's proposal. If there is, please press your speaking button. I'd just like to repeat, if you support the proposal from United States of America, press your speaking button. Gabon, Kenya, can I just check that you are pressing the button because you support United States of America's proposal? If not, please off your button now. Okay, so I have Gabon, but I will pass the floor back to United States of America.
Thank you, Chair. I would just like to clarify, we are not, is the chair recommending to send this draft decision in its text to the Budget Working Group or to introduce this draft decision?
Yep, to clarify, there was no support, so it will not be sent to the Budget Working Group. Yes, United States of America.
Thank you. In that case, we would call a vote on our decision.
Okay, United States of America, can you please repeat the draft decision again so that everyone knows what they're voting for?
Thank you, Chair. Draft decision reads, 20.XX, the Standing Committee shall consider the long-term sustainability and feasibility of the sponsored delegates project and make recommendations to COP21 as appropriate regarding the continuation or sunsetting of the sponsored delegate project.
Okay, before we go for a vote, can I request Senegal to report back on the credentials now? Senegal, please, you have the floor. Senegal, we would need to know the credentials before we go for a vote. Senegal, you have the floor.
Madame la Présidente, prenant la parole pour la première fois dans cette audience, vous allez vous permettre d'abord féliciter le secrétariat pour les efforts fournis pour nous amener à être là, le pays hôte, Ouzbékistan, et Madame la Présidente qui dirige les travaux du comité de haute facture. Pour ce qui est du comité des pouvoirs, le comité des pouvoirs à la CoP20 a été établi hier matin lors de la séance plénière. Le comité s'est réuni pour la première fois hier après-midi à 13h et a examiné tous les pleins pouvoirs reçus par le secrétariat. Pour l'instant, il y a 157 parties présentes à la 20e conférence des partis. Jusqu'à là, le comité des pouvoirs a examiné 135 pouvoirs et accepté des 131 pouvoirs. Donc 131 sont acceptés autant pour moi. La liste a été publiée sur le site du secrétariat. J'ai également le plaisir de vous annoncer, de vous informer que la région d'Amérique centrale, l'Amérique du Sud et des Caraïbes a désigné Mme Claudio Elizondo de l'Uruguay pour siéger au comité de vérification des pouvoirs. Je vous remercie.
So we're going for a vote. This is a vote for agenda item 11. The voting type is by normal vote. The vote of the European Union will be cast by the individual member states. Since this is a vote on a substantive matter, the decision will be adopted by 2/3 majority. Technician, are you ready? Can everyone be seated as well, because we're going for a vote? Australia, please. You have the floor.
Sorry, Madam Chair, sorry to interrupt the flow. It's not clear to us exactly what we're voting on over here, what a vote in favour versus a vote in not in favour would be. It would be really helpful if you could clarify that for all of us, please. Thank you.
Okay, so to clarify, if you vote yes, it means you support the proposal by the United States of America. If you vote no, you do not support the proposal by the United States of America. Everyone, can you please take your seat? Everyone, please sit down. Thank you. Volunteers, can I request that you stand at the door so that, we're going to start the vote so that people do not come in or go out anymore. Everyone, please take your seat now. I think we have some delegates still standing on the right. Please take your seat, please. Okay, everybody's seated. Okay, I'll just repeat again. This is a vote for agenda item 11. The voting type is by normal vote. The vote of the European Union will be cast by the individual member states. Since this is a vote on a substantive matter, the decision will be adopted by 2/3 majority. If you vote yes, means you support the proposal, the draft decision by the United States of America. If you vote no, means you do not support the proposal by the United States of America. So parties, you have 40 seconds to cast your vote, and the ballot is open now.
Delegates and observers, please be seated. You're not allowed to move during the vote.
So the proposal by the United States of America is rejected. Technicians, please show the result on the main screen. Technician, please now show the individual votes of the parties on the screen now. So the committee accepts the revisions to Resolution Conference 17.3, Ref CoP19, as contained in document CoP20.11, and the deletion of decisions 18.12 and 19.10. I conclude this agenda item. Thank you, everyone. Technician, you can take the results off the screen. Thank you. Okay, the next agenda item is item 14, enhancing the work and efficiency of the convention through the permanent committees. The document has been submitted by the Standing Committee, Animals Committee, and the Plants Committee, and the acting chair of the Finance and Budget Subcommittee of the CITES Standing Committee. So this document was discussed, it was actually passed to Committee 2 from the plenary. It was discussed at length at plenary. My preference is not to reopen the discussion, as parties who wanted to speak had a chance to speak at the plenary. So I would like to go ahead and strike an in-session working group. But before that, I would like to discuss the terms of reference. But firstly, I want to see if there's any objection to go ahead and strike the working group, the in-session working group. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The United States supports the striking of an in-session working group to discuss this document. However, as in plenary, the United States is seeking to have the composition of the working group to be only parties.
Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Canada also would welcome an in-session working group. This working group would be discussing a possible approach to prioritizing decisions that are made by the Conference of the Parties. So these are all of the decisions that we take as parties. So in this regard, we do think that this working group is best limited to parties, given that is not technical in nature, but rather discussing how we choose to approach the mandates that we as a Conference of Parties give to committees. Thank you, Chair.
Kuwait, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We support the previous speakers. Thank you.
Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you. We also support previous three speakers. Thanks.
Thank you. So the terms of reference will be based on the inputs provided in plenary to revise the draft decisions on enhancing the work and efficiency of the convention through the permanent committees. Are there any comments on the terms of reference? Okay, I'll go ahead and strike the membership now. Parties who are interested in this working group, please press your speaking button now. Okay, I will read out the membership now, and technician, please remove the countries as I say them. Thank you. New Zealand, Kuwait, United Kingdom, UAE, Denmark, Brazil, United States of America, China, Switzerland, Canada, France, European Union, Russian Federation, Singapore, Sweden, Mexico, Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda, Japan, Australia, Germany, Cameroon, Belgium, Zimbabwe, Zambia, Chile. For the chair of the working group, I'm looking at the acting chair of the subcommittee, New Zealand. If you're agreeable, can you please press your speaking button? Thank you. Thank you, New Zealand. So yeah, the time and the date and the place of the meeting of the working group will be announced by the secretariat later on. Thank you. Okay, so next agenda item is item 15, roles of CITES in reducing risk of future zoonotic disease emergence associated with international wildlife trade. So there are two documents under this agenda item, and I would like to discuss them together. So document 15.1 is submitted by the Standing Committee. Document 15.2 is submitted by Senegal. I give the floor to Senegal to introduce the document. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Merci, Madame la Présidente, de nous donner la parole pour que nous puissions s'exprimer à propos du document que nous avons soumis au secrétariat. Il s'agit pour le Sénégal de renforcer, en ce qui concerne le contrôle à travers le commerce des espèces menacées d'extinction, de renforcer le contrôle sanitaire entre les établissements, c'est-à-dire les structures qui sont aujourd'hui compétents pour mener le contrôle des espèces, surtout des espèces de faune qui sont commercialisées, de leur permettre de collaborer un peu plus davantage avec les organes CITES pour que nous puissions lutter contre la propagation des zoonoses. Et c'est ce qui a surtout motivé le Sénégal à proposer ce document, ces amendements, et demande aux partis de soutenir, enfin, de permettre à la CITES de contribuer et d'aller ensemble avec l'ACMS, l'ACBD, qui ont déjà pris des décisions portant sur la lutte contre la propagation des zoonoses, Et comme c'est un réseau aujourd'hui concernant ces 3 conventions, à ce que la CITES ne se démarque pas de cette approche pour qu'ils puissent non seulement jouer le rôle, mais aussi rendre beaucoup plus efficace ce que les autres conventions sont en train de mener. Merci.
Thank you, Senegal. So Senegal is proposing a new resolution on One Health and CITES, reducing human and animal health risks from wildlife trade, and also their new decisions being proposed. On the other hand, in document 15.1, the Standing Committee invites the Conference of Parties to adopt the draft decisions on the role of CITES in reducing risk of future zoonotic disease emergence associated with international wildlife trade, to continue discussion on the need for a new resolution on One Health. So the COP is also invited to retain decision 19.18 and delete decisions 19.15, 19.16, and 19.19. So first, noting that the Standing Committee did not reach a consensus on the need for a new resolution, I would like to see if there is any support for the resolution on One Health proposed by Senegal. If you support, please press your button. Thank you. Okay, there is some support. Technician, can you please remove the list? I will now open the floor for discussion. I will open to parties first. I will give the, okay, Singapore, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Singapore would like to thank Senegal for the proposal and draft resolution on One Health and CITES as presented in document 15.2. We recognize that collaboration between national veterinary or animal health authorities and CITES authorities is a positive step. However, we note that the Standing Committee's intersessional working group did not reach consensus on the need for or content of an earlier draft resolution when it was presented at the 78th meeting of the Standing Committee. Furthermore, we note that some aspects of this work may be under the responsibility of veterinary or animal health authorities and beyond the mandate of CITES management authorities alone. This proposal will require careful consideration and continued dialogue amongst all parties to build the necessary consensus. Singapore, therefore, does not support the adoption of this draft resolution until it has been fully developed. Nevertheless, Singapore remains committed to working constructively with all parties and stakeholders to promote One Health in international welfare trade at the appropriate platform. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Togo, you have the floor.
Merci beaucoup. Étant donné que c'est pour la première fois que le Togo prend la parole à cette séance de la 20e COP de la CITES,
Nous adressons toutes nos admirations aux autorités de Ouzbékistan pour leur organisation très brillante. Nous remercions aussi le secrétariat CITES pour cette organisation. Par rapport à la proposition du Sénégal, le Togo soutient la proposition du Sénégal et demande à toutes les parties ou bien à la CITES de contribuer au renforcement de la santé unique en faveur de la population des animaux, la population humaine. Je vous remercie.
Zimbabwe, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, for giving us the floor. With regards to the proposal for a new resolution by Senegal, as Zimbabwe, we strongly oppose this. We believe there are adequate processes and structures already dealing with the issue, including the presence of other UN agencies and other international organizations who deal with the whole issues in general. One Health is already in implementation, and the parties are contributing to One Health at national level and even through the CITES processes. We believe that if CITES expertise or party expertise on health issues with a specific reference to wildlife trade is required, we are always available to provide such expertise as individual jurisdictions or as an international body. So this resolution is not adding specific value or more value to already existing structures. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Sudan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As the first time for Sudan having the floor, we hope to extend our gratitude and thanks to the government of Uzbekistan for its generosity and well organizing this COP, and Sudan support the Senegal proposal. Thank you, Chair.
Comoros, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame, de m'avoir donné la parole. Étant donné que c'est la première fois que les Comores prennent la parole à cette assise, je tiens surtout à remercier le gouvernement ouzbékistan pour cette organisation. Et je me relie aussi au niveau de mes collègues pour soutenir la proposition du Sénégal. Merci beaucoup.
United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The UK thanks Senegal for this document, and whilst the UK supports the implementation of a One Health approach and recognises the urgency of doing so, we support the views of Singapore and Zimbabwe and cannot support the draft resolution at this time. The draft resolution largely relates to mechanisms relating to animal, wildlife and human health, and whilst the trade of animals is of relevance to this area, as drafted, this draft resolution does not fall within scope of CITES, and many aspects should instead be addressed by other fora with a relevant mandate. While CITES facilitates legal and sustainable international trade of wildlife in accordance with its provisions, if another instrument required restrictions on the movement of wildlife to prevent pandemic spreading, then that would be the forum where such restrictions should be enforced. Additionally, the UK notes the Secretariat's view indicating significant budgetary resource required to conduct this work, and would suggest, considering this and the sizable agenda consideration of this draft resolution should not be deferred to a working group, and instead the draft decisions captured in document 15.1 with the Secretariat's proposed amendments be taken forward and further consideration of this issue, and the views of the AC and PC to be considered in slower time. Thank you.
Thank you. Russian Federation, you have the floor.
Спасибо, госпожа председатель. Я надеюсь, что русский перевод теперь уже работает. Мы считаем, что сам по себе вопрос увязки использования диких видов и здоровья важный вопрос, но в соответствии с уже позициями, высказанными коллегами из Сингапура, Зимбабве, Соединенного Королевства, считаем, что это не находится в рамках мандата CITES. Кроме того, мы хотим отметить, что есть целый ряд других процессов, И, в частности, этот вопрос детально рассматривается в Конвенции о биологическом разнообразии уже. Хочу также отметить, что документ построен таким образом, что это единственный подход. В Конвенции о биологическом разнообразии это рассматривается как один из возможных подходов. Поэтому в том числе призыв в первом параграфе всем странам принять этот подход, он не может быть приемлем. Но основной вопрос, мы считаем, это вне мандата Конвенции, и поэтому не можем поддержать этот документ. Спасибо.
Thank you. Canada, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I understand we are looking at both documents under item 15. Canada generally supports the proposed decisions in document 15.1 that were provided by the Standing Committee. We do note that in the decision directed to the Animals Committee under decision 20BB, subparagraph B, the Animals Committee is asked to gather tangible good practices. We wonder if the Animals Committee is best placed to undertake this activity, and we see some overlap with this activity and the activity in subparagraph C of decision 20AA. So while Canada is happy to support the draft decisions as provided, in the interest of workload, we would also accept the deletion of subparagraph B under decision 20BB in document 15.1. With regard to document 15.2, to be brief, Canada aligns with the views expressed by the United Kingdom, Singapore, and others who feel it is premature to adopt the proposed resolution. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We would like to clarify whether we are talking about both document 15.1 and 15.2. Thank you.
Yep, so we are looking at 15.2 first, but I do note Canada's comments on 15.1 as well. Thank you. European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm speaking on behalf of the EU and its member states. Regarding the document submitted by Senegal, we acknowledge and appreciate the efforts of Senegal in preparing the document. However, we cannot support the proposal as we consider it goes beyond the CITES mandate. We believe that the process as proposed under the decision contained in document 15.1, as revised by the Secretariat, is the appropriate one to deal with the CITES role in the context of One Health. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Benin, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Étant donné que c'est la première fois que le Bénin prend la parole, nous tenons à saluer l'hospitalité légendaire du gouvernement ouzbek qui accueille cette COP, cette 20e COP. Nous saluons la Présidente pour son élection et tout le secrétariat pour le travail gigantesque qui a été abattu pour l'organisation de cette COP. Revenant au document en analyse, le document 15.2, il faut dire que nous soutenons la proposition du Sénégal, étant donné qu'il s'agit des espèces objets de commerce. Et comme nous savons, même si d'autres conventions ont eu à traiter de cette affaire, il est important que la CITES plutôt puisse s'investir pour garantir la santé quand il s'agit du commerce des animaux. Nous soutenons donc la proposition du Sénégal, ainsi comme l'a fait le Comore et le Togo. Merci.
Tanzania, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. United Republic of Tanzania also wishes to align with previous speaker in congratulating you for being elected as the chair of COP2. Tanzania aligns itself with Canada, United Kingdom, and other countries which object the proposed resolution on One Health approach. Tanzania wishes to invite parties to consider that there are other vectors for transmission of diseases, including the migratory bird species, which also move from one continent to the other. So having a myopic view of only that international trade in wildlife could potentially spread disease, I think that should not be the concern for the Conference of the Parties by now. Tanzania reaffirms its commitment to ensure that wildlife trade remain legal, sustainable, and safe, to ensure that parties benefit from the resources. So we don't really support the proposed resolution, and we align ourselves in recommendation provided by the Secretariat contained in the document 15.1, the draft decision. Thank you.
Liberia, you have the floor.
Okay, good morning to everyone. Today we are standing as a country, Liberia, to support the proposal of Senegal in ensuring that CITES incorporates activities on wild health. It can be recalled between 2014 and 2016 in West Africa, Liberia was a victim of Ebola viral disease, which is linked to wild animals. And we can still recall, since that time, the country struggled for almost 2 years to resettle. And right after Ebola, the issue of COVID-19 and even Mpox, which are also linked to wildlife. So today we are very happy to support the proposal of Senegal so that CITES will be involved, because already CITES controls the illegal trade in species, wild fauna and flora. And we are aware that the illegal trade in wildlife past products and derivatives have a potential of risk for the spread of zoonotic diseases. So to conclude, Liberia strongly supports Senegal so that CITES will include One Health in its activities. Thank you.
Thank you. I still have a few more on my list. Please keep your intervention concise, whether you support or not support Senegal's proposal. Thank you. Congo, you have the floor.
Congo. Merci, Madame la Présidente. C'est vrai, c'est pour la première fois que le Congo prenne la parole au cours de ce comité. Nous remercions les organisateurs et le pays hôte qui nous a reçus ici. Mais pour sur cette question, nous disons que bien qu'il y a d'autres conventions comme la CDB, donc la Convention sur la biodiversité, qui tire déjà sur les questions liées à la santé, rien n'empêche que la CITES, également, dans le cadre des échanges commerciaux concernant les animaux, traite cette question. Donc pour cela, nous joignons notre voix à celle du Sénégal pour soutenir cette proposition et à inviter d'autres parties à soutenir la proposition du Sénégal sur une seule santé. Merci.
United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We are appreciative to Senegal for this document. While we're not prepared today to support the resolution, we find merit in aspects of this draft. We know the challenge of zoonotic pathogens and CITES trade will only become more urgent and unavoidable, not less, and we value that the draft here acknowledges that reality. We know that trade in wildlife can and does facilitate the movement and emergence of zoonotic pathogens into different countries. We notice that most of the actions in both zoonoses documents here are informational in nature, and this does accurately represent where CITES is with this issue. We're still learning, we're still taking stock of this consequential matter, and we're continuing to ask ourselves what non-binding actions and information can CITES offer to parties to help them mitigate disease risk in CITES trade, and how can we do that in a reasonable and practical and cost-effective way. So we think that this stage of our work on zoonoses is best pursued through decisions, and that this work could later build a basis for a resolution down the road. And therefore, we support the draft decisions in document 15.1 and not the recommendations in 15.2 at this time. And we appreciate this document from Senegal, which was thoughtfully prepared and helps advance CITES thinking on this topic. For document 15.1, we'll just add that we are supportive of those recommendations, and we do have 3 text changes that we would like to make at the appropriate time. Thank you, Chair.
Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Just briefly, we'd add our voices to those already expressed, particularly the EU, the UK, and we share some sentiments also with the United States. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Nigeria, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. This is the first time Nigeria will be taking the floor, so we'd like to congratulate you on your appointment as the chair and to also appreciate the host country for the warm reception given to us. We appreciate the efforts of Senegal in preparing this proposal. This is very crucial as long as trade in listed species exists, because it will help in reducing the spread of zoonotic diseases. So Nigeria, therefore, is strongly in support of this proposal submitted by Senegal. Thank you.
Lesotho, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. This is the first time Lesotho is taking the floor. Lesotho would like to express its gratitude to the government of Uzbekistan for the warm welcome and the CITES Secretariat for the commendable work in organizing CoP20. And also, I would like to congratulate you on your appointment as chair of this committee. Lesotho aligns itself with other parties that oppose the proposal by Senegal. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone. Based on the flaws, based on the comments from the parties, I do not see consensus, and majority was not supportive. So now I will move to 15.1, and I did note Canada edits, and also Tanzania's support for 15.1, and I think United States of America also have edits. So now I'll just open the floor to parties for comments on 15.1, the draft decisions. Thank you. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As we noted, we support these draft decisions in 15.1 with 3 suggested changes. First, in draft decision 20AA(b), we think this paragraph should request the Secretariat to implement the CITES WOA joint program of work and to ask WOA to inform the CITES Secretariat when WOA notifiable diseases are reported in CITES listed species. and then that information could be shared with parties as appropriate. And so we have that change, that suggested change, if I may go ahead, to 20AA little b. It would read, through the CITES, WOA, and FAO partnerships, convey CITES expertise on wildlife trade and the quadripartite's work. It's the current text. And we would add, comma, implement the CITES, WOA joint program of work, comma, and request that WOA inform the CITES Secretariat when emerging and zoonotic WOA notifiable diseases are reported to WOA in CITES listed species. We have a second suggested change that's short when you're ready.
United States of America, can you just repeat again? Thank you.
Certainly. To 20AA little b, we would add, implement the CITES WOA joint program of work, comma, and request that WOA inform the CITES Secretariat when emerging and zoonotic WOA notifiable diseases are reported to WOA in CITES listed species. We have two additional small changes. In draft decision 20BB little c, we suggest a small change about the transport of live animals and samples. And so this would read, the Animals Committee shall continue to work with the IATA, the International Air and Transport Association, and the rest of that sentence, and we would add at the end this text, and make recommendations to COP21. We make one last request, which is to remove wording related to WHO, which appears in draft decisions 20BB, little a, and 20CC, little b. Thank you, Chair.
European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As stated before, I'm speaking on behalf of the EU and its member states. We support the proposed decision as amended by the Secretariat. However, we have some amendments to decision 19.18, paragraph 20BB little a, to alleviate the work of the Animals Committee and to add a reference to the One Health high-level expert panel. We are doubtful about assessing additional tasks to the Animals Committee, as this may be outside its area of expertise and the CITES mandate, diverting resources from other priority areas. We therefore propose to soften the wording by deleting participate in the process of developing in paragraph 20BB little a, and use provide input on CITES-related issues to guidelines developed instead. We have also submitted our proposed amendments in writing, and regarding the proposals from the US, we can support the first two. Thank you, Chair.
EU, can you just repeat on the edits for 20BB little a, the participate in the process, that portion?
Yeah, so the new paragraph will state, through its chair and as appropriate, and then the new text, provide input on CITES-related issues to guidelines developed by relevant organizations.
India, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. India thanks the Standing Committee for the CoP20 Doc 15.1. India compliments the work carried out by the Secretariat in coordination with VOA in this direction. India supports the draft for adoption of draft decision as contained in Annex 2 of CoP20 Doc 15.1. Thank you, Chair.
United Kingdom, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. The UK supports Canada's proposed amendment to draft decisions 20BB little b and the amendment put forward by the EU. But further to the amendment to draft decision 20AA little b put forward by the US, the UK would like to suggest that the word request be changed to invite so that it reads, through the CITES FAO partnerships, convey CITES expertise on wildlife trade in the quadripartite work, implement the CITES WOA joint programme of work, and invite WOA to inform the CITES Secretariat when emerging and zoonotic WOA notifiable diseases are reported, and the rest of the sentence. In relation to the removal of the references to the World Health Organization in draft decisions 20BB and 20CC, the UK cannot support the removal of these references. And regarding 20CC specifically, the reference to WHO should remain given their relevance to international health regulations and related requirements in place to report health events like outbreaks of zoonotic disease. Thank you.
Thank you. Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you. Firstly, Fiji welcomes this agenda item, and also we just wanted to seek the Secretariat's support in reflecting the changes on the screen so that we can follow through. Secondly, in terms of the suggestions made by the US on the first change or the first amendment, in terms of the latter part that Canada has just made amendments to, we are not in support of this inclusion. Further, in terms of the proposal made by EU on 20BBA, we welcome this suggestion. I believe this is a more streamlined text and also recognizes the relevant organizations which have the mandates, and also does not put added pressure on the Animals Committee given their the multitude of work that they are already undertasked with. In terms of the US proposal on 20BBC, it would be great if we can see it on the screen, given that there was a suggestion to have this reported at COP21. We would like to see the value of that as well before we can agree to these insertions as well. Thank you.
Okay, I hear everyone's comments and amendments. I will be going through each of them to see if there's support for the edits. And also we do not display the edits on the screen. So I'll first go through 20AA, little b, the proposed amendment by US, and it was amended by UK, by United Kingdom, and it was not supported by Fiji. So I'll just go through the amendment now. Through the CITES, WOA, and FAO partnerships, convey CITES expertise on wildlife trade in the quadripartite work, implement CITES WOA joint program of work, invite WOA to inform the CITES Secretariat when emerging and zoonotic notifiable diseases, zoonotic WOA notifiable diseases are reported to WOA in CITES listed species. Are there any objections to this edit? Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I think with the revisions now and your readout, it makes more sense. So we welcome the inclusion of the word invites. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. So 20AA, little b edits are taken in. So now we go to Canada's edits, which is 20AA, little c overlaps with 20BB, little b. So the proposal by Canada was to remove, was to keep 20A, little c, and to remove 20BB, little b. Are there any objections for this edit by Canada? United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We're supportive of keeping this paragraph 20BB little b for two reasons. We think that this is a way to actively engage the Animals Committee and gathering existing good practices. And two, we think this is action-oriented in a way that meets some of the urgency that some parties are expressing about this matter. And it's a way to identify a couple of high-risk taxonomic groups and provide guidance on those as a sort of trial in providing guidance to parties on this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Are there any views on Canada's edits and the comments from the United States of America? Okay, I do not see any. I'll go back to Canada. Do you have any comments? Canada, you have the floor.
We thank the United States for their intervention and their rationale for the maintaining of this decision. Of course, we are happy to follow the will of the room. It just seemed to Canada that the Animals Committee's focus and expertise is not really in best practices for the prevention of zoonotic risk or control of zoonotic risk and pathogen spillover. And we note all the activities that are happening through other parts of the decision, including with more expert bodies like WOA, who provide such guidelines to parties. And so again, in the interests of the overloaded agenda for our committees, we thought that given the expertise found in other bodies that provide some of this type of information, that perhaps it was not the best use of the Animals Committee time to undertake these activities. And that is the basis for our proposal to delete 20BB little b. Thank you, Chair.
Australia, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. And just in the efforts to contribute to the discussion, I've been considering both Canada and the US's opinions, and I think probably we would err on the side of Canada's views, just given the workload of the committees. Thank you, Chair.
Switzerland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Switzerland shares the opinion expressed by Canada. Thank you.
Okay, I do not see any support, so I will, so 20BB little b will be removed, but 20AA little c will remain. United States of America, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We just wish to clarify, we heard when the document was introduced for 15.1, a lot of support from the parties for the decisions as drafted as a whole from the Standing Committee. And then since then, of course, we've heard 3 parties identify concern with this 20BB little b, but we just wanted to clarify, are other parties also sharing that, that same sense, or are they supportive of these draft decisions, which were coming from the Standing Committee? Thank you, Chair.
Okay, so just to clarify, I was going through each of the edits one by one and asking whether there's any support or objection. So I think when we went through the deletion of 20BB, there was support. So I'm going to move on now to the next edit by the EU. 20BB, little a, through its chair and as appropriate, provide inputs on CITES-related issues to the development of guidelines by relevant organizations, and it goes on. So can I see if there's any objection to this edit by EU? European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. We would also like to add a reference to the One Health high-level expert panel, and I can read it out. So the paragraph says, in particular, WOAH, FAO, as well as other One Health partners such as WHO, UNEP, and then what we would like to add. The One Health high-level expert panel, which advises the quadripartite bracket, WOAH, FAO, WHO, UNEP, bracket, and then the rest of the paragraph. Thank you.
Okay, I'm now asking for views on EU's edits to 20BB little a. Okay, the next edit, I'm going to 20BBC by the US. Little c at the end, they add and make recommendations to COP21. Can I just get some clarifications on what recommendations are they looking at? I will look to United States of America. Thank you.
Chair. This would involve the Animals Committee continuing to work with IATA on standards and protocols for the transport of live animals. And so there's the way that they could make recommendations is especially through their work with the resolution 10.21 on the transport of live animals, where they're already tasked to work with IATA. And so that would be one example where they could make such recommendations to COP21, but the Animals Committee would have the latitude to make other suggestions as well related to the transport. Thank you.
Okay, with that clarification from United States of America, can I just open the floor to parties if there's any support for that edit? Okay, silent means support. So now we will go to the last one where United States wanted the removal of 20BB little a, the removal of WHO. Can I see if there's any views from the floor? And also WHO is in 20cc little b. Yep, so it'll be removal from 20BB little a and 20cc little b. I give the floor to Canada.
Thank you, Chair. Since you asked for views, Canada aligns with the United Kingdom, I believe. We would prefer to retain the references to WHO. Thank you.
Yeah, European Union, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. As stated before, we don't support the proposal from the US, as we would like to retain the reference to the WHO. Thank you, Chair.
Brazil, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Brazil also opposes the deletion of the reference to WHO. Thank you.
Fiji, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Fiji supports others that have opposed the deletion of references to WHO. Thank you.
Switzerland, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We share the position expressed by the EU, Canada, and the UK. Thank you.
Okay, not hearing support for the removal, so it will be retained. Okay, so that concludes agenda item 15.1 and 15.2. Thank you. Okay, so we have completed recommendation 28A in adopting the draft decisions and the edits that were discussed. I apologize that the floor was not given to the non-parties and observer organizations. So we will come back to 28B and C later on, but now I open the floor to non-parties and observer organizations for their comments. Woa, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Woa congratulates the Chair for her appointment and Uzbekistan for successful hosting the COP. WOA welcomes the intention to strengthen health risk mitigation regarding wildlife trade in a One Health approach and to encourage sharing practices and experience between authorities and across countries. Regarding the project proposed by Senegal, WOA welcomes the effort but considers that the current proposal may lead to some confusion regarding specific roles of authorities and organizations and supports the revised document 15.1 and stands to collaborate with CITES under its partnership for mitigating risks linked with wildlife trade. Thank you.
Thank you. I give the floor to WCS.
Thank you, Chair. And with all due respect, it's hard to take the floor after the decisions have already been taken. We might have been able to offer a way forward. We've pleased to have been member of the working groups of the Animals and Standing Committee because we're able to share our extensive One Health work and scientific expertise. We have a very large, very active health program across the globe. And we appreciate that many parties have taken steps to address the risk of pathogen spillover from wildlife involved in trade. But we believe CITES should step up. The draft decisions that have been agreed here are generally acceptable, although they could be more ambitious. We are very supportive of the science-based recommendations agreed by the Animals Committee in Annex 1, but we're very concerned they've kind of now been lost. And parties looking for guidance on the issues tend to look to resolutions and not to Animals Committee documents. We also note decisions expire, and they're meant to be time limited, but actions needed to reduce pathogen spillover in wildlife trade and from other actions with wildlife are not time limited. They must be ongoing, and we think it would have been more productive to adopt a resolution, not necessarily the resolution, but a resolution. And we think with a working group, parties might have indeed been able to come to common ground. We believe CITES needs to echo the ambition of CBD, CMS, WHO, WOA, and other fora. In conclusion, we greatly appreciate the leadership of Senegal in submitting their document and their draft resolution, and the support of Liberia, Nigeria, Congo, Togo, Comoros, and others. These countries know about epidemics, they know about Ebola, and they understand the need. We wish we could have had a working group to come together on a resolution. It might have been preferable, but we stand ready to work with all of you on if it's just decisions, but to make sure that efforts are taken to ensure CITES steps up and takes action on this issue. Thank you, Chair.
I give the floor to IWMC.
Thank you, Chair. CITES was created to ensure that international trade in wild fauna and flora does not threaten the survival of wild species and not to become a general global health instrument. All major countries of the world involved in international wildlife trade already have the topic of zoonotic disease well covered in their domestic policies. We cannot support the attempts to use CITES as an entry point into domestic health policy or to justify broad demand reduction campaigns against lawful, well-regulated, well-controlled trade in wildlife and wildlife products. For that reason, not only we cannot support any version of the decision 15.1, and we cannot support any version of the resolution submitted by Senegal. It's about time, as a previous speaker said, that CITES step up within its own parameters and avoid to be attracted by matters which are not of its jurisdiction. Thank you, Chair.
Born Free Foundation, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. I'm making this intervention on behalf of 18 observer organisations, and the list has been submitted to the Secretariat. It's widely recognised that international trade in wildlife carries with it significant risks of zoonotic pathogen emergence and disease transmission. The One Health approach is increasingly adopted by multilateral agreements, national governments and their agencies. To be successful, it requires all relevant stakeholders to contribute and collaborate in accordance with their areas of expertise. As regulators of international wildlife trade, CITES authorities are clearly stakeholders in this process, and their expertise can and should provide a vital contribution to the implementation of a One Health approach. So while we support many elements within the recommendations in CoP20.15.1, they do not, in our view, adequately reflect the urgency of the situation, nor the long-term approach required. The draft resolution and decisions contained in Annexes 1 and 2 of DOC 15.2, respectively, as submitted by Senegal and supported by a number of other parties, were designed to build on the outcomes of the 78th Standing Committee meeting and provide an opportunity for CITES to initiate both short and long-term measures as a matter of urgency to help mitigate the health risks associated with international wildlife trade. While there may not be sufficient support among parties for the draft resolution to be adopted at this meeting, we urge parties to take the content of the draft resolution into account when implementing any agreed decisions emerging from this COP and in considering a possible future resolution on this vitally important issue. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I now open the floor for parties on Recommendation 28B, retaining Decision 19.18, and also deleting Decisions 19.15, 19.16, and 19.19. I now open the floor for non-parties and observer organizations. Okay, I do not see any, so I will close agenda item 15.1 and 15.2. Before we break for lunch, I understand that Kenya wants to make an intervention for the earlier vote for agenda item 11. Kenya, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair. Delegates, this morning we had the agenda number 11. That was subjected to a vote when we were exiting that agenda, but we need to make a clarification that on Kenya's voting. I think it was not very clear on how the voting was being done, and I think that is why Australia, I think there is a party that requested for some clarification on what we were voting. Kenya is in support of the continuation of the sponsored delegates project. It is a good program through which parties have been able to participate in decision-making sessions of the convention, and so we were in support of the continuation of that the program. However, Chair, when you are explaining what we are voting, we are waiting to hear what is the proposal we are voting. So from record, it is indicating that Kenya voted voted yes. It intended to vote no, so that the program is continued. Thank you, Chair.
Senegal, you have the floor.
Merci, Madame la Présidente. Le Sénégal prend la parole à la fin des discussions qui ont porté sur le document 15 pour remercier toutes les parties qui ont pris la parole pour manifester dans quelle direction ils voyaient la question. Et nous pensons que c'est vrai, la CITES a un mandat très bien précis, mais ce mandat, par effet de ricochet, va affecter la santé humaine quelque part. Nous, les pays qui avons frôlé certaines épidémies, le Sénégal a vécu la psychose de l'Ebola qui s'est abattue à côté de Guinée et la Covid. Tout cela pousse le Sénégal à dire qu'il faut revoir nos positions. Parce qu'en exportant un animal d'un continent à un autre, d'un pays à un autre, on devrait, dans un élan de synergie, voir comment maximiser, minimiser autant pour moi les risques de propagation de zoonose. C'est dans ce sens et dans ce seul sens que le Sénégal avait porté ce dossier. Nous sommes prêts à travailler avec ceux qui ont manifesté de continuer de nous accompagner avec nous, car c'est une question préoccupante qu'on ne saurait occulter et que nous comptons reporter le problème à une autre séance. Merci.
Thank you. Kenya's intervention will be noted in the summary record. I now pass to Secretariat for housekeeping.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple of housekeeping announcements. We would like to just inform you that there is a revision of document COP20 Doc 13, which is published on the website. And this is COP20 Doc 13 on the strategic vision. This includes an In addition, in the recommendation section, the indicator to objective 1.4.1, which was agreed by SC 77, and this was missing in the recommendation section. So please, before we get to document 13, it would be appreciated if you could take a look at that document, which is now republished. The in-session working group on enhancing the work and efficiency of the convention through the permanent committees, which was established at this current session, will likely take place tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. The actual location, the actual room of the working group will be announced shortly, probably during the housekeeping announcement this afternoon, and also on the app and the CITES website. And lastly, the afternoon session will start at 2 p.m. Sorry, one more thing. The budget working group is also meeting tomorrow, and understand it's during the lunch break. It's in the Snow Leopard room. The budget working group is in the Snow Leopard room. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, the session is closed. Please be on time at 2 o'clock for the afternoon session. Thank you.
For the extra minute.
Thank you, interpreters, for the extra time. Thank you.